courtesy of listening to John Vornle on my behalf.
Oh my
I
God.
pass that around so that you understand that we've had a relationship for a long time, and yes, I've written speeches that he has gone out with in terms of doing
That was a
that.
signature.
It's a signature.
Didn't fake it?
Doesn't
No.
that say?
I have plenty of signatures for it. I do it for all my kids. I do it for.
3 minutes, you only have 3 minutes.
Okay, Steve was remiss in writing the words "a new economic continent" on the board for what I talked about last night. And I said, you should have put that up there because then I would have talked about it.
Okay.
The whole thing about discovering space, okay, and exploring it and exploiting it is all based on the creation of a new economic continent. Like Columbus came from Spain and Portugal and took a ship on a pecuniary basis for financial incentives and discovered the Americas, the same thing is available out of space. And it goes back to some of those fundamental things that can be exploited. Yesterday I spoke about space-based solar power.
Right.
That's baseload, space-based solar power. The true value is going to come from one of two things. It's not going to be electricity. It's going to come from manufacturing in a low-gravity environment or the storage of data outside of Earth terrestrial grounds. Why? Because the number of nines of certainty that are required to make sure that there's no skip in the beat of all the computing that goes on in the world has to be increased thousands of fold, and the only way to do that is to take something outside of Earth's atmosphere to bring it down. The manufacturing part all has to do with the disadvantage that we at a nanotechnology level have worked with, which is all manufacturing on Earth takes place under gravity. And we all know that one of the fundamental factors that affect manufacturing and the quality of electrons and metals and the crystallization that goes place has to do with gravity. If you take that away, the words pressure, okay, manufacturing under different pressure levels, and in space you don't have pressure, you've got a vacuum, you are able to produce things that are that much more powerful. That will create that new economic continent outside that will be exploited and explored in the same manner that the Europeans explored the Americas and developed what ended up becoming the United States of America. That is part of the message that I didn't go through yesterday. Steve chastised me for not bringing that up. It was one of those things I said, okay, I'll bring it up at a later stage,
Steve
and that's
forgot
it.
the prop, that's
why.
Right.
Yeah, well, I came up with this term, and I remember when I presented it at one of the Space Foundation's activities, I said, wow, that's not a way that we've been thinking about it.
No.
And the reality is that this is the answer.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is you develop economic activity up there. It produces its own profit centers. It will be taxed initially the same way England taxed the United States. And I'm seeing that this evolution and revolution will take place with these people that are going to be up there that are going to eventually declare independence. But for a certain period of time, all those revenues and those gains are going to come to the country that's going to send us up there. The same way the Dutch own still today the greatest percentage of the American economy versus any other country in the world. You know, once you start putting all that together,
Really?
Shell.
well, it's Shell, it's Unilever,
Yes, a lot of stuff.
it's all this stuff that's
Stop and Shop supermarket.
supermarket, absolutely.
Yes.
And you know, once you start realizing that, this is exactly the next step that we're going to go through, and that's what's fun. Okay, and I think it's very exciting for our children. I think it's going to invigorate them. It's going to bring focus to scientific study. I think they're going to get real excited about this, and I think it's very cool to send these things up there and develop this here and address the common challenges that each one of these exploited resources is going to have. And on that, I'm going to have Barbara be the next person who's going to communicate this here to her
No,
students.
but you know what?
You must have read my mind. I was sitting here saying, I'm gonna get him down here.
No.
You're going to communicate that to your
When he
students
comes, I wanna-
so that
I was
they
thinking
can get
that.
as excited about
I
this
know.
as
Yeah,
really you have
Jake, you
to be.
remember to go to school
Skype?
The whole
Skype him in. He uses Skype.
of jobs.
Oh.
It's
You better be there.
thousands of jobs.
No, come down for sure. I want to
No, no,
come.
he can visit by Skype. He
Wait,
could
I have a question.
live.
Yes.
No, I'd rather be.
How long
in
do
Neil.
you think this is going to be happening? Like, is it 5 years, 15 years, 50 years?
The base load space-based solar power, from the time that the decision to finance it to the time it is deployed, is a 13 to 15 year window. The fact is that during that time, all this other stuff, which is going to develop the more exploitable resources, which are unfinanceable today, okay? They're not financeable except in vision. Those are going to slowly creep up and become relevant and start driving things as they realize that the baseload space-based stuff is real. So it's going to overtake that reality. It's like I said yesterday, the electricity, at the end of the day, although economically we have to prove that it's going to be paid for terrestrially and make everything work, the fact is that that electricity fundamentally never needs to be beamed down to Earth. It's going to be used up there for other things with higher value.
On the moon, are you thinking that things would be
On the moon is easiest,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. The point is that these other industries are going to grow when they realize they can buy power up there. Let's say we sell it down here at 6 cents.
Right.
When they realize they can buy it up there earlier at $1, they're happy to buy this here because we can create all the drugs. Think about drugs.
Jeez.
You know, it's mind-boggling what can be
It's
created
right.
out of this.
And then, of course, you know, everybody talked about people who are really sick going in spaceships bouncing around. because of
Absolutely.
that.
Well, that's the hotel thing.
The hotel
They're
thing,
gonna-
that's easy.
That's
easy.
that's no issue.
There's no issue. That's a no-brainer. I even understood it. And
But
what
I
frightened
was-
me is I began to understand what he was talking
Oh,
about.
I just,
That's
you
right,
made
man.
it so clear for